honesty and integrity allowed me a bigger and better opportunity. I'm glad that that's how I conducted myself. Early on, after I transitioned away from Walmart and we were building the company, our very first customer, John Juvenot, who runs BBB Septic, introduced me to a local franchisee for Monster Tree Service. We got started, set up shop. I had never interacted with a franchise brand before. This is brand new to me. Seemed like it should be the same stuff, right? Get access to her things. There's a few things that they didn't want to give me access to. That was all fine. I started doing the work that I knew she needed completed. I did everything that I could given the access that I was provided. I think we worked together for right at 3 months, right about COVID time. I had been out of Walmart for a little while, but she was one of our very first customers. I think she was like number 5, 6, somewhere in there. So didn't have a lot of money coming in. We were living on cash reserves. I started noticing that she was not getting the results that I expected or had come to expect with the processes that we leveraged in SEO. I brought it to her and I said, look, I don't think you're getting the results that you deserve. And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, so typically I would do this or this on the website and I don't have access to that. And they're not, at the time, there's another brand managing that. They're not willing to let me change that. That brand was Scorpion. And I told her straight up, frankly, if they're not willing to let me change these things, I just don't think that I'm going to get you the results that you deserve. And I'm calling you to fire myself. She was like, whoa, hold on. Like, we have been getting some results. Like, maybe we can talk to them. So we did push a little bit, kept getting pushback. They didn't want to make the changes that I said. They felt like at the time that the changes that I was recommending were not things that they agreed with or within the scope of their processes. They, as experts, believed that that was incorrect, what I was recommending. And so they wouldn't make those changes. And so ultimately, I fired myself. And Cindy appreciated that honesty. She was one of the co-owners of that local franchise brand. What she ended up doing kind of blew me away. And keep in mind, again, I'm living on cash reserves. Literally every dollar coming in is helpful. My overhead is higher than the income coming in. Just to keep the business running, I'm pouring more money out than I'm bringing in. Turning her business away was a huge decision. It was a tough decision because of that need for money and the lack or scarcity thereof. But my integrity said that it was the right thing to do. And I've followed that since the very beginning. I've seen my father and my mother always operate with honesty and integrity. That's how I was taught and raised. And so that's what I pursued. It played out quite well. What happened was Cindy went to the board. Actually, I found out later that she had just become a board member for the franchise brand, and she proposed to them that I come in and give a presentation on what was wrong and why it was not working. And part of the reason for that was she had also been talking to some of the other board members and some other franchisees, and she was hearing similar things that I had told her about why they weren't getting the results they wanted, and they were also concerned that they weren't getting the results they needed, being managed by Scorpion. And so I ended up ultimately giving them, I think, like an hour and a half, 2 hour long presentation, showing them all the things that were wrong, the things that need to be added, the things that I would do if I were controlling it. And at the time, it's just me. So there's no way that I can come in and facilitate doing this by myself for a franchise brand that I think at the time may have had like 100, 200 some odd locations. And so they ended up hiring me actually as a consultant. And I held that consulting position for 5-6 months, basically watchdogging Scorpion and making recommendations and pushing on where they needed to make these corrections. It had a very positive impact. And in the same breath, the brand itself started feeling like maybe Scorpion wasn't the best fit. They ended up ultimately selling that brand to another franchise parent umbrella company called Authority Brands. Authority Brands was already pretty good with Scorpion, and so they ended up keeping Scorpion. So that's the story. I turned away money at a time that I desperately needed it because it was the right thing to do, and that ultimately made me a lot more money in the long run being a consultant. I got to learn a lot of really cool things, and I think I garnered a lot of respect from the people that I worked with. I would say that even during tough times, when it is a tough decision And maybe even more importantly, when it is a tough decision, operating with honesty and integrity will always have a better outcome than cheating, lying, stealing whenever you know it's wrong. I think realistically, the results that I was getting Cindy, she would have absolutely been fine with. It was more to do with the fact that I knew that it was not what she deserved or what she was paying for. She was not getting what she deserved that mattered. And so I could have easily been persuaded to continue doing that work and continuing to collect that check from her. But it was because I knew that it was wrong. And I was, I think, trying to protect her from what she doesn't know. I think that's important. Protecting people whenever they don't have the resources or the knowledge that they need to make those decisions. And when you can weigh in and make a positive impact, you should.